Hello, welcome to the Motorsport Review. I am your host, Perry Brown, and I am absolutely thrilled to see rejoining me. Finally, it's been a little while, but back on the podcast is Ray. How are you doing, Ray? How are you?
Oh, I am so happy to be back on the podcast. It has been a while, and I have to say I missed talking on the podcast. I'm sorry that I haven't been here, you know, but I'm glad to be back. That's all I can say. Really happy to be back just to yap about motorsport.
It's good to have you back. As I say, thank you very much to the guests that we've had on, because since you've been away, we've spoken about Formula E with Amy. We've spoken about the Dakar Rally with David, and last week spoke about the Rolex 24 with Keith. And yeah, it's been good reviewing them, but been talking about you and not with you. So it's good to, as I say, have you back. But I think it's important for everyone to know that you've been messaging me each week saying, are you watching the Rolex? Are you watching this? You've been right there watching the series, and then it's just been something normally at the last second that stopped you actually recording about it. So you have been on that journey still.
Yeah, I've tried to catch as much as I can. What I haven't, caught, I think is very, insignificant. I think I've tried my best, just apart from not being able to actually record, but I have tried my best to actually watch what's on very diligently. Yeah, but I know you have been watching more than I have. You've been into more than I have.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, Formula E was already one that I was watching before, and then as soon as I started watching the Dakar, I sort of expected to watch like a couple of days worth of that, and then be like, oh, I can talk about it. And I got so into it. It was unreal. I was spending hours a night just watching footage of it. And then the same with the Rolex 24, as I said last week, I sort of switched it on thinking I'll only watch an hour or two. And the next thing I know, 5 hours have gone. It's been brilliant. I've absolutely loved that part of the journey. And I hope it's been the same for yourself as well. Like, again, I don't know how much of that you would have seen in previous years if you weren't doing this project with me on the podcast. You might have just let them go by.
Yeah, I really did try to catch as much Dakar as I could, but it was like 3 a.m. here, so it was a bit tricky, but good thing the highlights, so you can try and catch up as much as you can. But for Daytona, I actually watched a lot. Apart from when I was sleeping, it was basically all I was watching. I would say if I wasn't doing this podcast, I've always had the inkling to watch more motorsport, but I never had, something of like, okay, let's watch more motorsport. Why do I want to watch more motorsport? But now, like with the podcast, and now wanting to give people an idea, an opinion on what other motorsports, looks like, especially in the perspective of Formula One fans, you find yourself watching things you thought you'd never watch. Actually, I am ashamed that the first time I heard about Daytona was when it was happening. But I am actually very thrilled that I learned about it because it was very interesting. I do try to catch Le Mans every year, but that's as much as I know when it comes to any form of like endurance racing. So watching Daytona was I would say it was very exciting, especially, a little bit of the parts where the people who were squabbling and flipping each other off. That was very entertaining. But yeah, I did have a lot of fun.
Good. And that's exactly what we're trying to do with this podcast, as you say, for people that would and are still just sat waiting for Formula One to come back, when actually racing is happening all around them. And if you just give it a go, you actually find this is brilliant, and series that you wouldn't have given a chance. As I say, Dakar for me, I wouldn't have looked at twice, because I thought I'm not overly into rallying too much myself, but now I'm like all for it, because yes, there's no wheel to wheel action typically, but it's just a different form of motorsport. But if we will link from that into Formula E, because we've got a big weekend coming up, got a double header as they head to to Jeddah. And really just to highlight how much is going on in Formula E right now. So tomorrow we have the rookie test, and there's some big names that are going to get 40 minutes inside these cars. So you've got Daniel Kvyat, obviously ex Formula One. You've got Theo Pourchaire, you've got Jamie Chadwick in the Jaguar, Zach O'Sullivan, Jack Crawford, Tatiana Calderon, and Alex Dunn, just to name a few names that are going to get their chance in the cars. So that's obviously one thing that's interesting, and this is something I think that Formula One have touched on a little bit. You know, the fact that during a 24 race calendar, they say at some point you have to get a rookie in, but not to this extent.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. The thing I like about Formula E and, you know, the rookies testing is that, you know, there's women representation. We have, you know, Jimmy Chadwick who's gonna be in the car, and I read that Abby won't be doing testing, but she would be having a few demonstration laps. So I think that's a step that, you know, like Formula One is missing. We don't really see women actually coming in to, you know, in practice sessions as rookies. So this is very exciting. I think I will watch it because I want to watch it, but especially just because they're giving chances to women who, you know, after Formula One Academy, it's kind of a gray area. Where do these women go? There's not somewhere they can really put themselves into full time. So I really hope that maybe Formula E would be the direction that they will go. Hopefully one day leading to Formula One.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's natural as well. It's organic in that the teams haven't been told you have to field women drivers or so many women drivers. They want to put the women drivers there. So exactly. So yeah, that's really good. And Jamie Chadwick is very involved with the Jaguar team, so much so that when I was at the London E-Prix last year, she was around and representing Jaguar there as well. So she's very close to that, but obviously is looking more like her career is heading towards IndyCar. So she's still got a career over there. But as you say, Abby Pulling now doing demonstrations says that there is the potential future here. And absolutely, I think it's not long before we do see women in Formula One. In Formula E, again, going back there, they also recently announced Evo sessions. And again, there's women that are going to be in the car there, but not racing women, just it's YouTubers, content creators, actors, actresses getting the chance again to drive a Formula E car. This is going to happen in Miami. I think it's between events. So they're literally going to put these people behind the wheel of a car with a bit of training with each of the teams and see how they get on. And again, big names there, as I say, Supercar Blondie, Sergio Aguero, ex-footballer, Man United fan, but we won't talk about him. We don't have to support him. Brooklyn Beckham, though, much better. And Tom Felton, just to name but a few. It's big times in Formula E.
I feel like I like how Formula E is doing its marketing. I like the direction it's taking. It's appealing to more fans to watch the sport and not just, you know, I feel like there's a stark difference, if I would say, the Formula One kind of marketing and the marketing that Formula E is doing. I feel like, as you know, as a new fan, I would be more drawn to watch Formula E because I feel like it's a little bit more relatable. The characters I can see who are relatable to me. You know, maybe I don't know what Formula E is, but I see someone on, you know, on their social media, like Supercar Blondie, who has a massive following, and like someone like Sergio Aguero. And I'm like, okay, what is this Formula E? It seems very relatable to the fans and like other motorsport. And I think I do like the direction that they're taking. I see if they continue in this direction, they will continue to pull in more and more fans into the sport. And that's what any sport really wants. You want to have a big following, you know, people watching your sport and supporting, you know, the drivers. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the big things we spoke about in Mexico as well was that last year in season 10 they went behind the paywall, certainly in the UK, and it lasted a year, and now they're back on free to air. And as a result, straight away they've announced viewing figures for Sao Paulo and Mexico, and it's gone up 120%. And straight away, as you say, they're doing the right things. So and alongside, so we're getting excited about Attack Charge, as I thought it was going to be called, but it's going to be called Pit Boost, which is getting introduced this weekend. So again, just more and more good news coming out of Formula E. The only bad news, I gave him praise and said, by the way, Scott Elkins, race director, haven't heard a word out of him for 9-10 years whilst he's been doing that. He's only gone and retired and left the sport, and someone else is taking his place. I can't remember his name. I didn't write that down. But yes, Scott Elkins, fantastic career in Formula E, and wish him all the best. And we can only hope for someone like him in Formula One, I guess. You know, as I say, he was very to the chase, got everything right, which we've discovered in watching the Rolex 24 as well, that there's other series out there doing the right things, and Formula One can learn a lot and take a leaf out of these other series books.
I mean, I could start a whole conversation about Formula One, but I think that actually should be another episode. Now that we're mentioning it, but I feel like, especially now in the recent times, more motorsport that was very, I would say, for most people who maybe started from Formula One, was unconventional, is becoming more and more increasingly popular. Looking at how many people watch Daytona 34, I mean, there is a break that you could say attributed to that, but also you could see there's a genuine interest from people to learn about other motorsport series and how they work. And these series are proving to be more of racing than anything else. There's no drama, there's no sideshows, it's just racing, and I think I do love that. I think I'm very excited for this season. It's gonna be a long, every weekend I'm busy. Every weekend I'm busy. What are you doing? I'm watching something. Yes. There's always something to watch, and I'm not complaining.
Yeah, apologies to my wife, who might at some point snap and go, "You're not watching stuff again." And yes, so moving on then to MotoGP as well. So other series doing things well, and we were saying then about series getting things right, and MotoGP have led the way in terms of the launch season, and they did this event in Bangkok, I believe. I haven't seen much about this, but you're going to tell us a little bit about their launch and why they're ahead of the curve of Formula One.
They did a launch, which was, I would say, it was very exciting. Just in my perspective, just seeing the drivers wearing suits. The riders, wearing suits. That was actually very exciting. But the MotoGP season is about to start the end of this month. And they've basically been doing testing. They're doing another round of testing now. And I think what I would say about MotoGP, like I'm saying about other series, it's just racing fast. There's not a lot of politics or sideshows or, let's say obsession with controlling, the people who are actually doing the riding and etc. It's just, we came here to do a job. We came here to take these bikes, give you good competition, and at the end of the day, we're going home. So I think I'm actually excited for this season, but I'm also worried as a Ducati fan. They seem to not really know the direction they're going to take, which is it's not really fun. But I'm excited for MotoGP to be back. Honestly, I am. I saw a couple of people asking, maybe we're going to do, I don't know, maybe an intro to MotoGP, maybe. Doesn't have to be an episode. We could put something out, but I think I would tell anybody who's interested in a new motorsport series, watch MotoGP. It is not, number one, it's not as lengthy as Formula One. you're done with a sprint in 30 minutes, and on race days you're done by an hour. So it's not a lot of time that you're spending watching the series, which for most people they think of the time aspect. But also with MotoGP, there's so much competition. Last season we had a proper title charge between Pecco and Jorge Martin, and this season we don't know. Jorge is in a new team, but unfortunately right now he has an injury, so we have to see. Maybe the bike is so fast he just can't control it also, which is very bad. So I really wish him a speedy recovery so he can be back, and we'll see, because I think Yamaha looked good actually, but that just might be testing, and testing is not real. So
we know that as Formula One fans, don't we?
Yeah, testing is. You say we're so back. Yeah, you say we're so back, and we're not back. We are so far from back. So yeah,
you say never look at the times, and then your team jumps to the top, and then you're like,
we're so
I'm looking.
Back.
I am looking.
We're so back. You know what? We're so back. The championship is done. Like, everybody move aside. We're back. But yeah, it's exciting because MotoGP starts at the end of the season, at the end of this month, and I really can't wait to see. The thing about MotoGP, and I would say as opposed to four-seater motorsport, is that it's very unpredictable. You might come in saying my rider is actually gonna win the race, and they crash out on the penultimate lap. Like, you just have to watch it, praying that your rider just finishes the race or the sprint or whatever it is, because
no.
Yeah, because he might crash in the penultimate lap. And I think the element of unpredictability is what really appeals to me when it comes to MotoGP, unlike, other motorsports. That's what I think just makes me sit down and be like, okay, today I want to know if Marc Marquez is going to crash or not. So yeah, if anybody wants to watch other motorsport, I think I would say go ahead, try MotoGP. It's I would say it's quite similar, but also very different from Formula One. It's similar, I mean, it's just pretty much straightforward. If you know Formula One, you'll be able to get MotoGP. The only thing that maybe differs a bit is the qualifying setup, but you'll get into it as easy peasy.
I'm looking forward to watching MotoGP. I think that's probably the top series, but beyond maybe Super Formula in Japan, which I've got a bit of a special fondness to get into this year. But MotoGP is very close second. As you say, it's the direct comparison to Formula One. You've got Marc Marquez to Ducati. Is that right?
Yeah.
Which is like Hamilton to Ferrari over there.
Right.
And I saw the video of him running down the crowd, and he's getting high fives off everyone. So, maybe we get the same thing at F1 75.
He's very, very popular. I mean, I think, yeah, he is the most popular rider on track right now.
Yeah.
The people love Marc Marquez, and I mean, he has 8 championships, and if he wins another one in Ducati, I mean, the crowd will go wild. But yeah, he's coming into Ducati, joining Pecco, who's also a multiple time world champion. So it's I will say the MotoGP season, if I can just put it like this, it will be the season that's going to be won by the person who crashes the least.
Yeah,
that's just how I'm gonna put it. The person who crashes the least is gonna win the season. Actually, that's actually very true, because last season Pecco was beaten by Jorge Martin just because he crashed more. He won 11 races. That puts him in one of the all-time lists. But in sprints, he used to crash out a lot, and that's just where he lost a huge heap of points to Jorge Martin, who was very consistent. He wasn't winning every single race, but he was very, very consistent. And that's what wins you championships. It's consistency. So I do hope that maybe Ducati does actually figure out, because I hear they want to go back to the old 2024 engine. I don't know if they didn't do their homework. It's a hot mess, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. Yeah, I feel like that's the major differences. There's qualifying, and also there's, the setup of the teams. We have factory teams, we have satellite teams. So that's the difference, not like Formula One where each, constructor is independent. They might be taking a few components from different other constructors, but it's basically independent teams. Yeah.
It was a satellite rider that won the championship last year, which sort of says exactly that. It's unfathomable to Formula One fans. It's like I was going to say Scuderia Toro Rosso, because it would have been back then, back when they were allowed to just have a Red Bull car and paint it differently. But Toro Rosso, AlphaTauri, or as they are now, Racing Bulls. It's like one of them.
They change their names every season. They change their names every season. Next year will be, I don't know.
I hope it's something different, because even then I just sort of stumbled. Like, do I call them V-Carb or R? But I don't know.
No,
but
it's Racing Bulls
anyway,
now.
that's it. So, what's back on F1 then?
Yeah, teams are just, changing their names because they're getting sponsors. Big money is coming in. Williams got a new title sponsor. That's exciting for Williams. I'm actually excited for Williams. It means more money, and hopefully they can automate their stuff, stop using miles. I remember James Bowles talking about it, and I'm like, in this day and age, James, can you just get things on a computer? Why are we doing this in this day and
Excel.
age?
That's unreal. And he said it's going to take 3 to 4 years to just sort out the mess of what they're doing, and that's sort of where they're coming from. So this is a big deal. As you say, they've got Atlassian. I don't know how to say it, but Atlassian joining as title sponsor. So we'll still call them Williams, obviously, but joining, that's a big deal. As you say, they've described it as their biggest deal in their 48-year history, I think they said. So this is pretty huge. But I did notice as well, I had a look at the merchandise that's just gone out on sale, and it doesn't have Atlassian anywhere on it at the moment, which is a bit bizarre when they've paid to have their name in the actual Williams title. So perhaps that'll change. Perhaps when it arrives.
Yeah, maybe they're gonna recall the ones that are out and like put new ones with
perhaps
with the logo. And I think, I don't know, the name, because they have, like, I saw in the racing suits, it's 4 times. So the name of the company is written on the suits like 4 times, but it still looks really good as compared to some other team, which I will not mention.
Yeah, I will not mention, but a little bit of a fight.
But yeah, people need to know that when these companies come in and they're title sponsors, they pay good money to have their brands written on the shirts, on the merch, on the racing suits. So even if they want to get it written all over the suit, that's up to the discretion of the company, because they're giving them a lot of money, just to race. So
Ray,
good luck.
If they want a blue logo, they can have a blue logo.
Yeah, like, you can't tell them to have it in red. They don't want to have a red logo. They want to have a blue logo, a huge blue logo, so you can talk about it and talk about why you might not like it. And that's marketing. Talking about how much you don't like something is marketing. You're just talking about it.
They're lapping up. They're absolutely loving the fact.
Yeah, they're just looking and they're like, yeah, another day, another dollar. Everybody's still talking about us. So yeah,
it's
I'm
funny
really happy.
because
I'm happy for Williams. I really hope that, even if they're not gonna make this, incredible like jump and just go back to their winning ways, I do wish them well. I do hope that they, try to, from a lower midfield team to a bit higher midfield, and maybe, one of this coming years challenging for podiums. Because I think I think I do like the whole Williams like organization, from the team principal to the drivers. You know, I'm very fond of Alex Albon. I know they have Carlos Sainz. I think they will be a strong pairing, you know, if their cars actually work. Because last season they crushed the cars a little bit. Yeah.
Yes, they'll be hoping that having Carlos Sainz on board will stop that.
Yeah, the Williams mechanics, I was really, really like sorry for them. Every single race, it's someone has crashed the car.
There was one race, I can't remember which one it was, but I think probably Brazil, where both drivers had crashed in the qualifying. Obviously, it was the wet, treacherous qualifying, so you can't put that by them. But then it gets to the race, one of them doesn't start, and the other one's in the wall, and you just see this guy's like, "Oh, okay, here we go again." Just like another Saturday and another Sunday, just rebuilding a Williams because you've got nothing better in the world to do.
They're toiling and moiling, and then, you know, as compared to other mechanics, they're just, you know, every weekend is a working weekend, an actual working weekend. I do love that Williams, you know.
Do you know, really interesting? I did a focus group around 2012. Obviously, I'm a McLaren fan, and I went there with another McLaren fan. And in the room, they asked us openly, "We know you're here as a Williams focus group, but tell us, who do you support?" And it was about 20 of us, and all 20 had said a different team: McLaren, Ferrari, Mercedes, whoever it was. Not one person said, "I support Williams." But they then said, "Who's your second, third favorite team?" Every one of the 20 had Williams as their second favorite team, which just, I think, speaks volumes. They're a very likable squad, and there are people that will list them as their first. So it seems pretty much unanimous that they're either someone's first or second favorite team, which is huge. You know, most people wouldn't put them in that arena. And I think everyone's hoping that next season isn't as bad as it has been, and that it's the first sign that they're going to get back to winning ways and to the front, because they're very likable. And as you say, they've got this huge title sponsor now. And I mean, I didn't know who Atlassian were before they announced. So that's the sort of, I joked online about why you'd go for a title sponsor when all the fans aren't going to say your name anyway. But I mean, I can remember who they are. McLaren announced a sponsor today, and I right now couldn't tell you who it was, because it's just another sponsor. And
I think I saw something on their match that's like some nutrition, and I was like, why is it in the middle of the shirt?
No, we're going to talk about this already.
Those space here, but it's in the middle of the shirt. But anyway,
now, they've obviously paid a lot of money
we have the
to
money.
be there. They were a sponsor before. They're not a new sponsor, so they've obviously said, "Hey, can we take that spot?" And Zach Brown, being Zach Brown, has probably said, "Yeah, sure,
money.
Pay me this much, and you can have it. It's your spot." So we got the new sponsors sort of like hidden away on the collar up here, and we got this new merch, and it's just brimming with sponsors. Again, a team that 5-10 years ago had very little sponsors on it is now just, can we fit another one on? Yeah, go on, we'll find space for it.
So I absolutely love the vision of, you know, Zach Brown. He took the team when the team was basically, I know you can remember the car, but it was basically just all, you know, orange, because there were no sponsors on the car. And just slowly by slowly, now McLaren has so many sponsors, from MasterCard to Dell and others, like etc. So, and Zach Brown said, we are building a car that potentially is gonna fight for the championship. And I remember Andrea Stella saying that, and I laughed. I remember where I was, and I read that and I laughed. I was like, McLaren, aren't you guys like P19? Like, let's be serious, guys. Like, how are you gonna challenge Max Verstappen? You guys were P19, P18, some race, and they actually challenged Max Verstappen. So I think, you know, when Zach Brown says something, I'm gonna listen next time. So yeah, I just.
Do you know how spot on he was? like so. I remember obviously Daniel Ricciardo wins Monza in 2021. Lando Norris finished seconds. McLaren fans got absolute, as you say, we seasons have been 19th. We got absolutely apoplectic. We got a 1-2, and the season dominated by Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. Neither Mercedes or Red Bull got a 1-2 ever in that season. Only McLaren did it. And we're like, what have we just done? The very next race, Lando Norris almost goes on to win that race as well. And there was a few other times Carlos Sainz driving for us at the times. We're going out of our skin. Like, what is going on? We're decent. We're a good squad suddenly. And even through that, Zach Brown was going, look, okay, hold your horses. We've just got a 1-2, but it's going to be 3 years. And guess what? 3 years came and went. 2020. He said, wait till 2024. 2025, they'll be the first seasons we can challenge for the championship, and we've done it. 2024, so let's see where we go in 2025. But yeah, as you say, you got to listen to him now. He absolutely knows what he's speaking of, and I hope when James Vowles says exactly the same thing, give me 3-4 years, that he's on the same path, that he's saying give me 3 years and we will be back in that same fight. So yeah, Lassian being the first sign perhaps of change, along with the signing of Carlos Sainz. We'll see. So coming up next week, we have F1 75, the launch event. Now, what are we expecting? I'm thinking we're just going to see 10 race liveries, some people in suits. As we said, the MotoGP event, that's still exciting in its own right, but we're starting to see them in their suits already. So what really new is it going to bring beyond 10 liveries, do we think?
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not really excited for the event itself. Well, I think it's just, it's just going to make the people in corporate happy, that we're having this event. But like speaking on a fan level, I really don't see the significance of having this event, because it's just going to be chatter and talk. There's nothing really important that we're going to hear. For most teams that will not have, unveiled their liveries, we have Williams this weekend on Friday, but it was for the teams that will not have unveiled the liveries, like what exactly is the hype around this whole event? We've already seen the drivers in the racing threads, for most teams. We've already seen the drivers in the racing threads. So what exactly are we going to see here? Because people, we're not going to see the actual cars, the actual season cars in the event. We're just going to see, renders with the liveries. So I really don't know. I might watch it, but it's just going to be a whole lot of chatter. But I'm excited. I heard there's going to be a red carpet. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see, the Ferrari boys in the suits and Max Verstappen in the suits, before he wears merchandise for the entire season. So
yeah, that's just, you imagine he turns up on the red carpet still in the same shirt,
the Red Bull shirt, and just a blazer on top. Actually, Max Verstappen could do that. So maybe we're just giving him ideas. But anyway, from a fan perspective, I thought that this was an event that was going to be fan centric, but like again, the Formula One did hold a lot of tickets. Brands want to bring a couple of people. They want to bring maybe influencers to the event. So I would just say it's marketing. That's just what it is. It's just a marketing gig.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one for the corporate sponsors. There'll be obviously the influencers there will get their moment on the red carpet to ask their questions as well. So it's big for the people in Formula One, and it's big for the sponsor the teams, not so much the teams, because they'll still want to do their own thing. Yeah, I mean, I had the same thought. As soon as they said we're doing this big event at the O2, I was like, oh, that's really exciting. They're going to sell tickets. I might have a look. And within the space of about 24 hours, I was suddenly like, actually, hang on. What are they going to do? As you said, it's going to be, I was like, So if they're going to interview each of the drivers, that's 20 interviews. Like, are we really going to pay you money to watch 20 interviews? Or will it be like when we've done launch events for Miami and Las Vegas, when they've joined the calendar? I mean, the Miami one was okay, but it was the same thing. Bring the drivers out onto the Hard Rock Stadium, one of the upper levels, talk to the drivers. And how excited are you about Miami? Oh, yeah, obviously this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Skip forward to Las Vegas, and there wasn't even the drivers. And then suddenly they go,
Las
here they
Vegas
are.
was a bit, I would say it was awkward because they kind of revealed them like Hunger Games style, where like they were, like lifted onto the platform and coming, on top, and people, it was kind of Hunger Games style. And, Max Verstappen was not a fan of that at all. He had some very, very, very long words, about the event. But I'm like, this is just for marketing. It's just for, brands to feel better about supporting Formula One. It's Formula One to feel better about being Formula One. But there's nothing really, I would say, interesting that I'm waiting to see in particular. Nothing as interesting as I'm waiting to see. Actually, like for Mercedes, we know that we're not going to see the actual like car until testing. We're not going to see the livery we're not going to see the car until testing. So it's not as exciting as I thought it would be. Actually, when I saw that, I remember I did ask you if you're going to get a ticket to go, because I thought, oh my God, Formula One is having an event. That's so exciting. But I was like, wait,
I mean,
this is going to be people and like listening to interviews and just people talking all night long. And personally, that's kind of boring. But at least
absolutely.
it's going to be, you can watch it on YouTube on their page. So at least it's not, it's not geo-blocked. You don't have to pay to watch it. So I think, just them putting it on YouTube for people to access it, for me, it just goes to show that it's just a marketing stunt. It's just a PR stunt. Yeah. That's just what it is.
That was a big move. When they announced that, was it yesterday? They said I was going on YouTube. I agree. That jumped straight off the page at me. Like, oh, okay, they're announcing this for free. They're not saying, oh, by the way, you can, wherever you are in the world, you can sign up to F1 TV and watch it live or something like that. So yeah, they want people viewing this. And as you say, I'll be watching, but not sure what to see. The only idea that I had that could make it really take off is, they say it's livery launches, but they haven't said specifically it's like the race livery that each team will be launching. What would be really cool, and I don't think they'll do this because it's just blue sky thinking, is if they turn around and said, by the way, when we go racing in Australia, every team will have a commemorative livery from their history from the team.
Yeah.
And here they are. Really Here's the 10 liveries.
Oh, that's actually really fun if they did that. But a commemorative, livery, I think that actually would be fun. Maybe with the teams going back to the old liveries. Oh, I can imagine how that would look like. But I don't really think they're gonna make the teams do anything. No. Again,
that would be.
They're not gonna make the teams do anything.
We're two fans, just blue, as I say, white paper, just putting ideas out there. Whereas they're very corporate and they're very sensible, and there will be no swearing, and they'll stick to the book. So absolutely, I don't think they'll do that. But it's taken a leaf out of, again, looking at MotoGP, who last year, I think they celebrated their 70th year, and they did something very similar. They raced at, I think it was Silverstone, and every team had a commemorative livery. So it's a very simple idea. And V8 Supercars in Australia does the same thing. NASCAR, it's such a simple idea. Just throw an old livery on the car just for a one-off race. You can still have your sponsors on there. And McLaren have done this last year when they did a OKX livery with the McLaren Marlboro colours. It can be done very easily, and still retain, current sponsors. So let's see. But I don't think that'll be it. I think it will just be, here are 10 liveries, most of which you already expect to see. I think the Ferrari will be red. I think the McLaren will be papaya, and I think the Aston Martin will be green. So let's wait to be bamboozled and
Let's
shocked by
wait
something.
to be shocked, by nothing. Shocked by nothing.
Yes.
We'll be shocked by nothing. So, but anyway, I'm gonna watch it just to, how a movie is going to be bad, but you watch it anyway, so you can tell people how bad the movie was. That's exactly what I'm gonna be doing.
Now, have you brought up movies? Because I forgot to put it on the agenda, but we obviously saw the trailer, or the latest trailer for the F1 film.
Mhm.
And I mean, I'm kind of excited. I know online there's a lot of bad press for this. People going, "Oh my god, this is going to be awful. It's going to be trash." I'm still going to the cinema. I'm going to sit and watch it.
I actually do want to watch it. The thing with, I would say, I'm just going to put it together with the Formula One film and with, Drive to Survive. People want to, people expect to see something as similar as a documentary. This is not a documentary about Formula One. This is it's purely fiction. We're coming here talking about Sonny Hayes, in Formula One, and I don't know, he came from IndyCar or something like that, because I saw on the trailer. So they're coming in saying, from the trailer, they want to build a car for combat or something like that. Yeah. That's what basically they're saying. And you think it's going to be as similar as Formula One, the Formula One that we watch every weekend. Of course, it's not going to be similar. But the fact that, that there's interactions with, real drivers. We saw the scene with Max Verstappen, and, we've been seeing them filming across the season last year. I feel like I am excited to go and see the movie. I'm excited to tell people that, hey, there's a Formula One movie. It's not, it's not accurate. It's not a documentary. It's not what actually happens in Formula One, but it's a glimpse of, some Formula One aspects. Like, just go and watch. And we're just basically just following the story of a person who's trying to win a championship. And I think I'm excited to go and watch it. I'm not going to let the bad press get to me. When it gets to cinemas, I am going to sit and watch it. And I'm going to keep an open mind. That's just how you have to do it. You just have to keep an open mind and, just watch it, because it's something fun that, you can watch, not because, you actually know who won the season last year.
Yeah. I mean, it's like we've been very lucky. We've had a lot of motorsport films through the years, more so recently. But it's like trash talking Ford versus Ferrari, or Le Mans 66, depending on where it was advertised. But that Ford versus Ferrari story, no one trash talked it because it's got Matt Damon in it, or anything like that. So it's kind of weird that people are going, "Oh, it's got Brad Pitt, he's too old." And by the way, if you want a sneak preview of it, I have got the film that it's probably going to be based on very heavily right here. No one's ever heard of this film, but it's the only DVD that I have, so I'm bringing it up on screen.
Oh my god, but I've never heard of that film. I am going to
no one heard of this film. So I could do a whole podcast on this film. Honestly, it's terrible. The worst film I've ever watched. But when I used to be ill off school or college or wherever it was, and home, or had like a free day, this film went in the DVD player, and I sat and just slobbed out. And funny enough, it's about the story of a retired American racer who's a little bit older, Sylvester Stallone, and he comes back to help a rookie win the championship. And I mean, funnily enough, it should have been a Formula One film. It's actually an IndyCar film, but only because Bernie Ecclestone put so much limitations on what they could film, as opposed to, as you say, what they have done for this F1 film, and said, yeah, come and put cars on track, come and do what you need to do. So it ended up being an F1, an IndyCar film. But funny enough, the team boss is definitely not Frank Williams. He just so happens to be in a wheelchair. So it's funny. It's very definitely based on F1 with a very thin layer. I mean, the current reigning champion is a German, but it's definitely not Michael Schumacher. So yeah,
Yeah,
if you haven't seen it,
I'm gonna look for it actually, just to
it's called
watch it
Driven.
and say, oh my god, I watched it and it's horrible.
I have the only DVD in the world. It's mine, all mine. But anyway, I've spoken enough about the world's worst film for long enough. So the very final point to come to tonight is that we have seen Ferrari and McLaren doing a bit of testing, and to get straight to it, I sort of mocked it a little bit last week. Hamilton crashing a company car. I mean, he did have a bit of an off. I think it's very normal. There was no real significance. I mean, they crash during testing. It just happens. We don't know whether he was pushing it or not. They stopped running, but again, you can't really tell. They maybe just wanted to run through everything on the car just to check, because it is just pre-season testing. But no significance, just big news. It was everywhere that Hamilton has crashed the car, but the significance being that they are testing 2026 tyres. Both McLaren and Ferrari were doing this testing. So again, we can't tell any of the times or what happened, but it's quite significant that who we think are going to be the two main title protagonists with Max Verstappen getting that early running in the season, getting to run these tires before anyone else.
I mean, first, about Lewis Hamilton crashing. I mean, it did make headlines, and I'm like, this man has crashed every time he's gone to a new team. Like, that's just what he does. It's a habit now. It's a ritual. He has to crash. He crashed when he was going to McLaren. He crashed when he was going to Mercedes, and now in the Ferrari he did. But I really don't think it's quite a disadvantage to Max Verstappen, if I can just put it like that. But it is a slight advantage to the McLaren and the Ferrari. That's just how I would put it. Assuming that Max Verstappen will be, in a championship fight. Because we're just talking about this, hypothetically. We don't know if the Red Bull will be a title contending car.
Yeah, we really don't know, and we don't know every season, really, do we? So once again, it's good going into a Formula One season not knowing where they are. It's been very clear Ferrari are very keen to put Hamilton in the car, or an older car, as much as possible. So we'll see if that pays off. But I think that's just part of bedding in. It's very different going from he's always driven for a British team. Suddenly he's going to a team that predominantly are Italian, has a monegasque teammate. How's that gonna play out? And just getting to know everyone and their operations. And this is part of what I spoke about before as well. That period where you've got a 7-time champion. Ferrari are probably going, teach us, tell us everything you know. We want to hit the ground running. Give us the intel. What are we doing wrong?
Yeah, I think Ferrari are actually, like we've seen, they're very excited to have Lewis Hamilton in the team. And I think it's a learning experience for everybody who's going to be working around Lewis Hamilton, because he statistically is the most accomplished driver ever to do Formula One. So he will be bringing a heap of information and experience into Ferrari. But now how Ferrari take that, experience and knowledge and, insight that Lewis Hamilton is giving them, and translating that into a car that actually is fast and consistent. Now that is what is on Ferrari. I don't want to speculate about how the kind of like relationship with Lewis and Charles will be, because there are a lot of people saying a lot of things, honestly. I think they're mature enough to have a civil relationship. They don't have to be in love with each other. They just have to respect each other as teammates. And, hopefully Ferrari is fast. And if it's fast, then, they'll just have to decide who's going to take the title home. but that's just if it's fast. We can start, saying, oh, there's supposed to be some team orders. We don't know if the Ferrari is fast or consistent.
Yeah, we'll see pretty early on. Hopefully, as I say, it'd be really close. We're sort of expecting this championship fight and kind of hoping that if, one team gets the better in Australia, that it doesn't turn out that way all the year, but I'm sure it won't. And it's going to be really interesting. But I think for now we'll call it a night. We'll look forward to F1 75. We'll look forward to Formula E this weekend. As I say, I'll be watching that. I would be anyway. I'm guessing you'll be interested. You'll be watching along because you've got nothing else to do at the weekends. Just watch motorsport. So, Ray, it's brilliant to have you back. Glad that we've got you back on the podcast. We'll get you back again very shortly, again soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And thank you for listening at home as well. And we'll speak to you very soon. For now, this was the Motorsport Review.